Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 116-103 loss to the Brooklyn Nets. Riker, the first half of this game was exciting. You're elated. I don't even know how to describe it. You're amped up to watch this, elated. I don't even know. But then the second half, right from the jump, it went from the Raptors having a lethargic possession, OG missing a dunk on a clear foul, but the Nets really just had all the momentum in the second half, and it was a tale of two halves. But we did have Siakam's return, and I thought he looked solid, despite some people in the chat already blaming the loss on Siakam. So the Siakam slander is likely going to jump back from day one in his return. What are your initial thoughts on his return and this game here tonight, Riker?
I like that. The tale of two halves. Got to keep the positivity high in this one, Ben. I'll let you sound off because you said it before we started recording. Your thoughts about Pascal Siakam. Obviously didn't have a terrible game. Mm-hmm. He still needs to find his rhythm and his role in our defensive coordination, because some of our rotation defense, especially in running out and getting a hand on the perimeter shooters' faces, especially Blake Griffin, Bruce Brown, those guys, wasn't there tonight. I think it's because Pascal Siakam he's not being integrated into that lineup truly yet. But Ben, what do you see from him?
I thought he looked good. And the big eyeball test that I saw from Pascal Siakam tonight was his speed. He's looking mobile out there. He's looking like he's in really good shape, and he's obviously came into the bubble, didn't touch a basketball for 3 months, was out of a rhythm, looked a bit a step slow, and then with the health and safety protocols, the injuries last season, and still not really fully getting a full off season from the bubble season going into last year, didn't really have that quick step for Pascal Siakam. Now in this game, Spicy P looked like the original Spicy P right from the jump. Obviously, only played 25 minutes, but 15 points, a couple of blocks, 4 rebounds, a steal, and he's looking more energetic. And he hit a 3 to start off this game, which was really nice. But he's moving around the court well, and the first possession of the game, it was a full-out sprint up the court. Didn't get the basketball. Obviously, when you sprint up, you don't always get it. You draw a couple defenders, so it's always useful. But seeing Siakam just run up the floor, have that sort of look and feel of an original championship run, year pre-bubble Pascal, it was nice to see. Obviously, people are looking at the stats, 15 points for a guy that's on your max contract. I get why some people might be disappointed, but he's still on a minutes restriction, and he hasn't played a game in 8 months, really, Riker?
First came back from a shoulder injury, not just a ticky-tack injury, an injury that actually affects your mobility in shooting, dribbling, carrying the ball. And he was putting the run back in. Run. Yeah, that was what we were missing sorely last season, was the energy that accompanied transition offense. So as time goes by, with the defensive stopping power of OG and Scottie Barnes, now Pascal Siakam back in the lineup, the Raptors will continue to get better. But I think before we get too far into this one, people are going to want us to bring up the refs. We look at the 3-point percentage. That was obviously one of the reasons that the Raptors struggled in this one, even though the overall field goal percentage was pretty good at, I think, 43% on the team. But obviously there was some big issues with the referees. I don't even need to be an apologist in this one, because it was 20 free throw attempts for the Nets, 18 attempts for the Raptors. There was some parity in the overall number of free throws that were taken. But can we just agree off the jump, the refereeing was whack in this game. It was just on another planet of idiocy, of just apps. I don't know what sport they were trying to ref out there. There were some little calls that were called, little ticky-tack, somebody gets a little hair gets moved and a foul was called. But then there was some flagrant fouls where arms are getting chopped and nothing. Ben, what was going on in this one?
Yeah, it's you brought it up, Riker. If you're going to play this season, the referees have been letting a lot of stuff go. They've been letting a lot of things in the paint, and it's benefited the Raptors tremendously because we run an aggressive style of defense. However, half the game they'd let whatever go for either side, right? The Raptors would be going in, OG would be thrown to the floor, and nothing would happen. We nicked James Harden a couple times, and the ball was let out of bounds, and that's the style of refereeing this season. But then out of nowhere, we get these calls that were just touchy, as you said. You blow on them, and then a foul happens, and then next thing you know, Scottie Barnes has 4 fouls not going into the second half, but right at the start of it. And he's completely out of his rhythm. And I do want to give a shout out to Scottie Barnes. Definitely tonight winning the Scottie Barnes Award in this one, because even though he only had 8 points, didn't have the most, only took 7 shots, didn't get opportunity to run on the court a bunch, but 5 steals, Ryker, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, and doing that all while in foul trouble. So I think if Scottie Barnes got more of an opportunity to run, to play in this game, wasn't held back by these silly fouls that we call touchy-feely fouls. Even Siakam was dealing with foul trouble. Man, it was annoying. Either call it super soft the entire game so the Raptors know to dial it back, or let it go like they've been doing this entire season. And you can't help but think, because the ball's in the hands of James Harden, Kevin Durant a bunch, and that's who most of the fouls were on. The refs just have this sort of remembrance that James Harden, right there, he's a superstar, so you got to give him those calls. And then the next possession, they'll remember the new league rules, so then they'll let it go by. And it's just such a weird game to watch when the refs have that much of a sort of impact. Even if it didn't affect the loss, it just sucked watching it on both ends.
Well, what was weird about this one is very much the refs were confused, because the rule changes that were implemented this offseason for this season specifically were to eliminate non-basketball plays. And that was a direct result of James Harden and Trae Young's foul drawing over the last couple of seasons, specifically last season. And I think a lot of it was kind of at the helm of Steve Nash complaining about Trae Young getting in front of guys, stopping on a dime, then drawing that call from behind. So I think the issue with this one, Ben, it seemed to me, was that they're so concerned with not giving James Harden fouls, which was blatantly obvious in this one, because he had a lot of sweep throughs, stuff that should be fouls. The rules shouldn't have impacted whatsoever. If he's driving to the lane and somebody's arms get tangled up with his while he's going up with the ball, that's a foul. That's not a non-basketball play, but they're so concerned with not giving him those, or not giving him non-basketball plays. They're not being able to discern what is and what isn't a non-basketball, and they're getting so much wrong on that end that they're also getting weird stuff wrong on the Toronto Raptors side, and it made this one really gross to watch. And that's what I think ruined a lot of the rhythm. Obviously, people are looking at 3-point shooting, whatever, for the real reason that the Raptors lost, but I think the reffing was so atrocious in this one, just from a consistency perspective, it ruined any possibility to have a basketball game.
we have a super chat coming from Dappender Dylan saying that Canada should make their own NBA league. They're not going to call fouls on OG, and I think we do. We have the NBL, the CBL. I don't know where the St. John's Edge are playing this year. I think they're out of the league. But should the Raptors move to the National Basketball League of Canada, Ryker, or just so OG gets some calls? We did have Royce White and Carl English and all those folks in the league. Maybe we can get the Raptors to move in.
Glenn Big Baby Davis, part of the group that's now getting fined. What are they getting fined for?
I think they might get jail time, I think, for defrauding the NBA, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, so I don't know if we'll be able to afford Pascal Siakam's expensive contract if they move to a Canadian-only league, but I like where your head's at. OG needs more respect. He's going to be the new superstar of the Raptors. When you get to that status, the foul calling is supposed to come along with it.
Yep. And let's talk about OG right now, because he obviously made the point of that following that the end of the last game. And we've been harping on the refs in this podcast. It's not why the Raptors lost, even though it was a momentum swinger and it did have that effect, you can't deny. But the Toronto Raptors could not hit their threes. Now, OG didn't have a horrible game from the eye test watching him play. 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. But OG sort of has that role now, as at least at this point, maybe Siakam will overtake it. OG's sort of been that guy pushed into that space to be the number one option, the guy that's supposed to be relied upon. Now, obviously, we have other options, we have other pieces on the offensive end, but OG tonight, 1 of 6 from the three-point line, and that's tough. That's tough, because you look at a guy, obviously I'm not comparing OG to Kevin Durant, but that's the role Kevin Durant plays for the Brooklyn Nets. And even when he's having an off game, even when he's struggling by his own standards, the open looks always go down for Kevin Durant, whether in the middies or from the three-point line, right? Relatively speaking. Obviously, they'll miss one occasionally. But OG Anunoby, the inconsistency, right? He's gotten a lot better this season. I think he's handled that step into that number one option, especially with Siakam out, really well, given where he was last season, all these sorts of things. But on nights like this where you just see those shots not going down and OG not having a shot really in his bag that he can go to, like even Gary Trent Jr. has that midi that he can go to where he started cooking in the middle of the game. OG either needs to get one of those mid-range jump shots, which has significantly improved this season, but he doesn't go to it that often, I feel like, as much as he should when the three-point shots are not going down, right? OG Anunoby sort of needs that shot, just like Kevin Durant has, just like James Harden gets when he throws up that floater in the lane that really can just get us a consistent bucket, right? And whether it's, if he's going to fulfill that role, we're going to need that if we're going to be a top team in the Eastern Conference.
Well, it was either end of the second or start of the third. If you remember, 3 straight possessions in a row, 3 straight buckets for OG. Mm-hmm. And what was it? Back down, fade away over somebody the first time. Then back down, fade away over Kevin Durant. Then back down, fade away in the lane again. So it was 3 times in a row. He has so much strength at his position. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he's really making that his move, that fade away. And you keep forcing in the Kobe Bryant comparison, and much to my chagrin, but he could develop that shot out, Ben. That could be his thing, just like you said. James Harden's is the get past somebody floater. Kevin Durant's is get it to the elbow, mid-range jump shot. We see new super chat coming in. Abel's great. 1, we had bad spacing. Siakam, Barnes, Precious cannot play big minutes together. We need a 4-out lineup. Well, I wouldn't hate this season if Pascal Siakam took 0 3-pointers, or at least less than 1 3-pointer per game, because we have enough guys that are the out players. But I agree with the general premise of what Abel's great one is saying. However, the counter argument to that is Pascal Siakam hasn't had any time to come back and integrate himself into the lineup for spacing, for positioning, for flow of the game, all of that. So you got to give it a little bit of time. You got to, right? And this is a tough team to come back to as well. It's the Brooklyn Nets. It's a star-loaded team.
Yeah, well, I think he's just saying in general with the lineups, Nick Nurse is going to have to figure some things out. Obviously, he got into a rhythm with we started off the season running the conjoint twins and Dragic and Svi consistently, and then Nick Nurse found a little groove with the lineups we had last year, and then last few games, obviously going on that massive win streak, and then losing a tight one to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but then obviously Siakam is probably, if not the one of our most talented players on the roster. So he's going to be a plus, but you got to figure out which lineups work with him in the roster. So obviously running him out with a Scottie Barnes who can't shoot the 3 right now. I wouldn't mind Scottie Barnes shooting more of those middies and long 2s because he's been very nice with those. And obviously Precious Achiuwa, who did knock one down early, but Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, whoever was on him at this point, just stood in the key and dared him to shoot, right? Precious has either got to show that he can knock those down or get into the dunker spot, not be in that no man's land where you're just cutting, you're getting in people's way. So I see what he's saying with that. The spacing did look a little bit weird with the current lineups, but I'm higher on Siakam's 3-point shooting than a lot of people are. I think if he's looking in shape, ready to go, he was a 36% 3-point shooter, just not last season, the season prior. So hopefully that comes back into its own, but I definitely see what he's saying there, especially with Siakam returning from injury.
Yep, I am in accord, sir. But this game, it was probably Kevin Durant. It was probably all the 3-point shots that were missed, not those that weren't even attempted because of poor spacing. They had the game within their grasp. They let it slip. They tried to mount that fourth quarter run. It wasn't atrocious. Wasn't the worst game of the season for the Toronto Raptors. And again, this is a pretty good team that's probably going to make a deep playoff run again this year. So nothing to be ashamed of, but you would have liked Pascal Siakam's return to be signed off, capitalized, highlighted with asterisks with the W rather than in the L column. So that's all you can do, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And there's definitely a couple guys we got to talk about too before we swing into the segments, right? But Siakam, I thought he did well with this 25 minutes, 15 points. Not much you can do when you're on a minutes restriction, dealing with foul trouble, and as you mentioned, going up against one of the better teams in the NBA. But We talked about OG, Scottie Barnes. I gave him the award. I'd like him to be more assertive out there on the court, but I guess when you're in foul trouble and you're getting the feel for the game, we'll see what occurs. But I guess that's something to do with the lineups. Nick Nurse will have to push that. But one guy that does take a lot of shots and is a big part of the offense is Fred VanVleet, who was our leading scorer tonight with 21 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. Solid stat line, 6 of 14 from the field. And what did you see from Fred VanVleet tonight? Because he had a solid game in this one, but I don't know. There's something just a little bit off about him tonight, I felt like, compared to other games.
Yeah, somebody made a comment in this one that his pick and roll offense was atrocious. He was making the wrong reads coming off picks. He wasn't finding people on the cut the right way that he normally does. Obviously, he had that one huge assist game. So don't question his IQ. Something was off. I'm looking at Pascal Siakam coming back into the lineup and it being weird, having found really good chemistry with the previous starting lineup of the last couple of games. Now putting Pascal Siakam, who's supposed to be the number one guy. I think he has to deserve or earn his way back to that title. But it makes you think, should he be getting more touches when he's out here? Should the offense go through him? Right? What is everybody's role? I think that threw a little bit of confusion into the play sets and the natural flow of the offense and the switch defense, like I said, and the rotation in general, because they were leaving perimeter shooters wide open, worse than we've seen in any games this season. So we'll give it some time. It'll get back to form.
Yep, for sure. And I guess Fred VanVleet, because the ball's in his hand so much and he tries to create with the dribble, as you know, it's a style of play with the point guards. I know he gets flamed a lot for over dribbling, but it works when he's going right. Obviously, things have to go right for him. And I guess because people weren't moving in the right spaces, as has been brought up in this podcast, the spacing looked a little bit off. It just felt, from the eye test, a little bit weird for Fred VanVleet. Not flaming the guy by any means. He had the best stat line of the team tonight. But the one guy that the eye test looked pretty good, especially in a stagnant offense, particularly in the second half, Gary Trent Jr. kept this game from being a blowout. And his three-point shooting was horrific, 0 for 5, right? The guy that was so on fire from the middies, couldn't drain a 3, but he was hitting some tough shots in that mid-range, Riker. And, you know, I know the analytics, and I'm a big stats guy, I'm a big math, I love the numbers, but Gary Trent Jr.'s midi is looking pretty fire for this team, and it's nice to have someone that has one of those shots that you can go to when the offense is stagnating.
Yeah, we say that, but everybody seemed to be doing all right from the half court today. Scottie Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG, Gary Trent Jr., and yet we still had big slumps or big stretches where we weren't scoring the ball. I agree with you on Gary Trent Jr., and I've raved about him all season long. He's a guy that wants to score, but it's still, I don't know. I don't think we found it tonight, even though it should be there for multiple guys.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I guess the final player we'll talk about, because there's some other guys that we'll speak on during the segments, but the Precious propaganda is back, Riker, and 13 points, 8 rebounds. I know he hit 1 3, which is nice, but 6 of 11 from the field. He still misses some of those bunnies around the rim, but made more of them tonight. Looked a lot more confident out there. Looked like the Precious from the start of the season. Obviously was moved to the bench in this game. Obviously, the lineups are a question mark. We ran the starting unit. There's a lot of chatter about who would start once Pascal Siakam came back. Obviously, we're running out there without a true center, which could lead to disaster, as we know from last season, but obviously way too early to tell. But Precious Achiuwa looked like he was fighting for that starting position to be back. Obviously, if we continue to lose these games, we'll probably have to at least try it out with a proper center in the lineup. Now, obviously, Khem Birch was injured in this game, so he got 0 minutes, wasn't able to play. Some people were questioning about that in the chat early. But what did you see from Precious, and do you like him coming off the bench for this team?
No, I don't like him. Oh, Marcel Martin, moderator, legend. His little logo's being updated to the purple logo.
Yeah,
so
you call for a little like spike. Look at the little like spike on.
That's pretty fresh. But people are saying they weren't a fan of the starting lineup before we get there. Christian Burton, big €5 donation. Wonder if he's watching from somewhere in UK or Europe, anywhere. Is it just me, or is anyone else sick of seeing us give up those easy corner threes to good shooting teams? Why is this part of our defensive scheme? Well, I talked about it, and I talked about it, and I talked about it a little bit more in this one, is that we've had pretty good rotation defense. And the Raptors are obviously one of the top individual 1v1 defensive teams in the NBA this season. Pascal Siakam coming back, he made the rotation schemes look a little bit weird tonight just because he hasn't developed the chemistry with the team. Yeah. So that'll come.
It's not just his fault. It's just the fact that they haven't played together at all, right? The Raptors are running something super intricate, and we saw it at the start of the season. It took a couple games. If you look at that Wizards game we had to start off this year, and the Bulls game and the Dallas game, right? We had some real shaky looking defensive possessions, leaving people open, leaving shooters open. So hopefully it's just a chemistry thing, as you brought up, Ryker. But there is one possession. One stretch I know Nick Nurse likes to do, or not possession, one stretch during the fourth. The Raptors were making their comeback. I think they cut it to within 8 or 6 or something. They hit it. The offense was finally coming together in the fourth quarter. We thought we were going to get one of those tremendous, exciting comebacks, and then out of the blue, after the defense is looking nice, we say, against a team that currently has Kevin Durant, James Harden, Joe Harris, and Patty Mills on the court, and Blake Griffin, who's looking like Steph Curry tonight. Let's run a 2-1-2 zone. Let's try this. Obviously, one of the worst defenses when you're going up against a 3-point shooting team. I definitely agree. I believe that was Christian who gave the super chat. I agree that defensive scheme was absolutely horrific, but that's Death
tough. 4K was also talking about the 1-2-2 or the box and one zone. Any kind, even 3-2, or 2-3, any kind of zone defense is typically not great against 3-point shooters, especially corner 3-point shooters, because you're trying to play up to guard those high wing spots. So Marcel Martin coming in with a super chat as well.
Shout out Marcel.
Big super chat. This game might have been frustrating, but this is just one of many growing pains. I don't know if he meant to emphasize many the way that I did, but one of many growing pains until the team builds more chemistry. Keyword right there. Only a few of these guys have played together extensively. It's a young team. It's a new team. There's a lot of rotation changes and lineup switches, and Nick Nurse is kind of learning as we go. We saw that, you said, with Dragic and Svi Mykhailiuk, and we'll continue to see new iterations of the lineup. But what we can rely on is that the defense, once the obviously rotation D gets figured out, will always be there. Whether the scoring is or not, we'll figure that bit out. So totally agree, Marcel.
Yeah, and we appreciate the super chat, as always. Though sometimes we take for granted Marcel hopping in these chats, but obviously a legend. Everyone that's been super chatting tonight, greatly appreciated. And is it even tonight, this evening in some places of the world? I know it's a bit later here in Newfoundland, but weird having those early games. And we'll talk about the other stuff for the segments. But Chris Boucher, I do want to say, did have one of his better games of the season. Only 9 minutes of action, Ryker. 6 points, a rebound. Had a nice block and a nice steal. Any words on Chris Boucher before we swing into the segments?
No words on Chris Boucher, but Jansen Wu coming in with just a deep cut, one that hurts the soul to read. Tonight would have been a night that we could have used Sam Decker, the guy that was cut for luxury tax purposes, to stay under that luxury tax line, give us a little more flexibility at the trade deadline, the midseason trade deadline. So that's an L right there. I don't think he would have touched the court had we not waived him, but I don't know. Both you and I, we didn't want to see him get waived, so too bad.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. But Ryker, let's swing into the segments, and then we can get to the final 2 minutes where we'll get the excitement amped up. But tonight, finally, with Pascal Siakam back, the spicy play of the day. Now, there was a couple that certainly could have been significant spicy P-lays of the day. OG came down the lane at the start of the second half, and the Raptors looked like they were leaking oil to start off the second half. It wasn't that bad at this point. OG comes down, obviously for a timely monster slam, does get hacked and then misses the dunk, but doesn't get the call, so that was unfortunate. And Precious almost had one too. I'm not sure if it was the second half. I think it was, looking back at it, but had a two-hander in traffic, did get the foul call, but couldn't finish it down on top of it. 2 missed dunks, which I guess could have been the OGs. I'm mixing up the segments, but we almost had two true spicy.
Well, let me give you a proper spicy P. Is I'm getting my time frames mixed up in this one as well. I dozed off a bit in the third quarter. My what do you call it? The biological clock is all askew, so I was falling asleep at weird times today. But Ben, either in the second or the third, Scottie Barnes had very challenging defensive assignments tonight because he was switching back and forth between Kevin Durant and James Harden, who I would assume to defend are two completely different beasts. One very quick and nimble James Harden, you got to stay in front and watch out for him trying to draw fouls. The other Kevin Durant will shoot over. You got to be super aggressive and up into him. But playing against Kevin Durant, the rookie, stripped the ball from him, just ripped it out of his hands, fast break, finished it with a reverse dunk. Nothing, no force on it, no speed. He slowed down to a little stutter step to make sure that he didn't mess it up. But that's my spicy Pele to get the day for this one, Ben.
For sure. And Bueno Kitty's bringing up the one I was going to throw out there was the spin around Blake Griffin and then getting the foul. Just vintage spicy P. But definitely, that's the one it has to go to. You almost forget about Scottie Barnes because he was taken out of the game by the referees. I don't want to upset the old ref apologists out there. You've been pretty good with the refs on this game, but the chat doesn't want to hear probably any more ref.
Chat ain't hating the refs on this one either. I think everybody's like, the refs weren't targeting the Raptors; they were just bad.
Yeah, it is what it is. But Ryker. Not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. You're flexing the hoodie right there. The laser eyes are going off. Ryker, do you have an oh, geez in mind? The missed dunks could be there, but you're rocking the hoodie. You got one in mind?
No, I don't.
You don't have one in mind? Well,
no, I don't.
I think it could go to specifically the precious dunk where he missed both of the free throws following, and I don't know, Svi, there was a moment, I don't know if it was that significant, but I get very hyped when someone hits a shot. I'm trying to mentally get myself juiced for momentum, try to, speak the fire into existence into this team. And Svi hit a 3, and I was like, okay, Svi, we're breaking out the Svg water in this game, getting cooking, it's looking hot. And then the next possession, it might have even been tipped, but he airballed the shot, and I literally said, oh, geez, watching the screen. So if you say, oh, geez, jeez, you're giving it to me.
I was flexing the sweater, didn't even get the leaf in it, so I put it up a little bit higher this time.
You gotta get that leaf in it. Fresh OG's hoodie. The merch is there up on the store. We gotta redesign.
We've had other people put in some orders too. I don't know when they start arriving. Make sure you send a picture of yourself wearing them. We'll put it up. I played the video clip of Mr. Jake LaMette-Johnston putting on the jersey.
Yep.
And I forgot I just didn't realize the audio wasn't attached. So I got to send that clip over to you, Ben. We'll play it again on the next video so that people can see it.
I was actually going to download that today. I didn't catch that vid, and I'm assuming the live stream on yesterday, Saturday, whenever. But I was going to do it, then we were running out of time. We said, "May as well get this here." But
that's all good. People saw it. They just saw his mouth move and not the words that came out. I said, I'm sure it was epic, whatever he said, but we'll get that. Yeah, it'll play on some video.
Yeah,
but Ben,
throw your J's into the chat as well. Throw your J's for old Jake LaMette.
Put the J for fake Jake into the chat if you're, if you are a member. If you're not, quick plug. Never a good time, never a better time than to join the channel memberships as there is right now. If you were looking for a call to action, this could be it. This could be your chance to join all the perks that the Raptors Digest channel membership offers. So just go click that button and get to see what that's all about. But just like I took a big L in not transferring in the clip with audio of Jake LaMette-Johnston showing his giveaway, which will be giving another giveaway of 22,000, there is an L that is to be given, specifically in the fashion of a golden kazoo, the Paul Pierce golden kazoo for worst performance of the evening in this one. Ben, do you have any ideas for this one?
Well, the lineups, I want to give it to him. Now, we've talked about this in this podcast a bunch, but I've been saving it just for the end because I didn't talk about Delano Banton a bunch, but defensively, I thought Delano played really well in this game, and only 12 minutes for Delano. Had 5 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal in those minutes. I thought he could have been a really nice, versatile defender to throw on a James Harden, to Kevin Durant, and see what happens. Only 12 minutes for Delano. Svi Mykhailiuk, especially in the first half, just really didn't have it going. And I didn't catch most of the previous game. However, it looked like from the box score, he didn't have the greatest game in that one. So I think you got to let Delano run and see what he can do. give him more of an opportunity, Nurse, especially when he's playing well. We also have a super chat coming in from Marcel Martin. Just wanted to say Josh is the man with these live reactions. Hashtag Goody Mob. Oh yeah, shout out Josh, killing it for the live streams and the takeaways in the morning. He's ready to go for those live streams. We like the cool dynamic of him coming in, chatting with everyone for the live streams, and then us coming in usually fired up for the post games. Less fired up in this one just because the Raptors, a little bit of a deflating loss, but it's a shout out the Goody Mob.
And if you're part of the Goody Mob for the lives, you'll be elated to hear, if you haven't checked them out yet, that he does post-game reactions where he breaks down the 5 keys of the game, which will be released every morning after the basketball game. So make sure to check that out. That'll be the new recurring feature. It's already a couple videos up on that for this season, Ben.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So trying to get you guys as much content as possible here on the Raptors Digest, as much quality stuff out there. But Ryker, what are your thoughts on the lineups there? Do you think Nick Nurse sort of messed up with Delano Banter only playing 12 minutes? Chris Boucher, I thought, played well in the first half, barely got any run there in the second, except at the very end where he did make a boneheaded play when the Raptors were, I think they had a cut within eight in the last 2 minutes, and then does those brutal travels and pivots. Boucher, you're not crossing anyone up at the 3-point line. Just go. You don't need to jab and fake and try to Kawhi yourself around the 3-point line. Outside of that, I thought he had a good game. Are you surprised that Nurse didn't go, maybe not deeper into the rotation, but giving Delano, maybe a Boucher, more minutes?
Ben, this sounds like a perfect question to toss out to the comment section about lineups and perhaps cue the final alarm.
Let's get it. That's right. The final alarm has sounded. It has gone off. And we want to hear your guys' takes about this game, about the Toronto Raptors, about the life in general, Toronto, seeing what things are happening. As is tradition following the final alarm, we get a little like spike going in this live chat. Got 200 people in here. The diehards ready to go for this. But where's the next fantasy update video? Yeah, we got to get that going. Right, we'll do that. We'll try to get those out early in the week so we can recap the week prior. But Ryker and I have a matchup this week, which I'm a bit afraid of. I gotta hope Kristaps stay healthy. Zion.
How many points? What was your Saturday week total?
Wow.
Or your today?
I'm getting killed by Elder Phil. This guy, Elder Phil, is staying up. I forget his YouTube name, but Elder Phil, he stays up till however late in the night, and he gets all the waiver wire players. And I'm streaming players myself, and then he picks all the good ones, and I matched up to him. So he killed me. Shout out the dedication. He has a good squad on him. So I took an L this week, waiting for Zion and Porzingis to come back and Terry Rozier. So it is what it is. Heisenberg's watching from prison.
Jeez. Yeah, Elder Phil is Nick Gold, and I have 732 points right now. You have... I'm trying to find your little logo, 734. So you would be winning in our week matchup. But Elder Phil, Nick Gold, he's been killing it. He's going to be a top fantasy player in our entire league. So he's going to be really tough to dethrone. That and low Nick Nurse stance. Those are the two, I think, big dogs in our league. But let's see what people are saying. Really missed Khem Birch for this one. I would agree. Paul S.
Yeah.
Khem Birch out with a knee swelling. Knee swelling. Soreness. Is that the official? Knee soreness, knee swelling, bit of both probably. Yeah. One comes with the other. Missed Khem Birch. He's been on a roll, especially coming off the bench for Precious Achiuwa. So I don't know if him being the backup big in this one would have yielded as much impact in the game, but I think it still would have, because he comes out, gets the right rebounds, he makes the right reads, gets his hands all over the ball, and he's had the much better touch around the rim than Precious Achiuwa so far.
Yeah. Now, Precious was good tonight. You can't take that away from him. I thought he had one of his better games of the season, but Khem Birch obviously having that option there, especially tonight.
Khem Birch, let me say this for him. He'll be outside the restricted zone, just kind of standing there. Yeah. Right when the defense is kind of collapsed, wait for the person who's coming in, and so there's a bit of space. So when they do their little drop-off pass, they still have half a body's length between the inside rim protector and Khem Birch, and then he's really just got a nice kind of push shot that he's found a really great touch for it. Now, Precious Achiuwa did do much better, but I didn't think the flow of basketball is still as good for him as it is for Birch.
Yeah, well, Birch just knows where to be on that basketball court. He has that veteran presence. Precious still learning those schemes, and I guess just develops a little bit of a rhythm, and then the new players come in. Siakam's obviously a massive piece. We got another super chat coming from Bueno Kitty saying Joshy Ice met Sweet Reiki. I asked Jay Ice if he could take Reiki 1v1. He said, I'm the best baller of the three of us.
Suspicious comment. Suspicious comment.
That's
I don't know about that.
Dropped B plus R in the fro zone. Response? Josh?
Ben plus Ryker.
Oh, okay. B plus R. That's Ben plus Rogers, baby. Because I'm cooking all of you guys in 1v1, 2v1. Splash Mountain out here. This is a...
I don't know how Bueno Kitty knew. I guess he was obviously chatting with Josh, but Josh and I met for the first time ever. He's been part of this podcast for a year and a half. First time we saw each other face to face, which is pretty wild. But Ben is supposedly, if, knock on wood, that nothing changes to impact the flights. He'll be coming up to Toronto soon in the month of November, and we will have a game to determine the best baller of the Raptors digesters. So to be determined, but I don't think it's going to be Mr. Joshy Ice that's winning in a 1v1v1 King Court situation. I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah, no, Riker and I have some fun battles back in the day, but the 1v1. So we've been in different places, so we haven't been able to get a nice game of 1v1 in a while, but I take both of us over Joshy, just off field, just off of people sleep on that basketball talent out east, so we're ready to cook. Check the live stream records. OG is top 25 in the league in scoring record. That's what I'm saying. If he gets one of those go-to moves, he's a legit number one option, I feel like.
Well, here's the thing. Usually your top scorer on any team, there's 30 teams, those scores are all going to be in the top of the league for scoring. I mean, we got to have a guy that's in the mix. Top 25 is not that impressive. Your top scorer should be up there in the top 30 at least. I mean, obviously some teams are going to have output from 2 players or maybe 3 players, but unlikely.
we have a super chat coming from Marcel. The bald mamba comes to Toronto. We'll never know who's the best. Marcel, you gotta pull up to Toronto when I get out there at the end of November. I think I gotta look at those dates again. I think the 24th, but gotta get those fun live meetups, those game up balls. We're trusting Josh. I don't know if you got those connects. You're way closer to Toronto than I am. The connects to get us a gym, just a plane. We'll probably
LA Fitness.
LA Fitness? Is that packed? I feel like in a big city that would be packed. We have to go in the mornings or something.
I don't know. He showed me. So Josh was up. So there's this famous baseball player named Josh Donaldson who won the league MVP when he played for the Toronto Blue Jays. And apparently his wife or something is from Aurora. So he was up visiting, was in Toronto. Josh was at LA Fitness looking through to play some pickup. Was like, is that Josh Donaldson? No way. Goes in. Sure enough, it is. He's like, are you guys still playing? Can I play? Played pickup with them for about an hour and a half. Got some photos, all of that. So apparently it's not difficult at all to get in to LA Fitness some runs. Okay. So we'll get the Bald Mamba up from Texas. We'll get the Raptors Digest crew, the other people in the GOAT tier. We'll get a ball game going. We'll figure out who the best baller is.
Yeah. I gotta get my skills. I haven't played in it forever, man. The gyms are impossible to get here in St. John, so gotta get some games back. Still been going for runs. But Heisenberg saying tickets on for sales. I think you can get tickets in the games, I believe.
Yeah. People saying, well, here, let's maybe finish off this video. I don't want to go too long on this one. It's not the most exciting game in the world, but I see James Tashero saying, he's saying, think they need to play Banton. More you sounded off on that. Will Grieg should look to trading for Miles Turner. Well, Ben, there's also a ton of other guys that have hit the block. You just broke down the video this morning about Kobe White. The Raptors are targeting him. We're going to break down another full video on Karl-Anthony Towns. Kristaps Porzingis accordingly being put on the block.
He was
traded
good
before the trade
night.
deadline.
He was good last night.
Yeah. And You have him on your fantasy team, do you?
Oh, I'm always picking up my stinky pinkies. I'm ready to go. Buy low on the old stinky pinky.
So there could be a lot of movement come trade time, Ben. Is there any realistic ones? People love always saying JV, trade for JV. We would love to have Jonas Valanciunas back on the team in the bench capacity, but wouldn't happen. Is there a realistic one out there? Final kind of comments in this one to get the fans' hopes up. I don't know if we need that many, but maybe a 7-footer, fair enough.
The thing about it is, and you and I have had this motto, whenever you and I discuss, because we break down every rumor pretty well, every rumor that has some substance or just gets sent to us a bunch, right? We try to cover it all, right? But the ones that we never cover, right? The ones that we say, oh, this is a bit outrageous, they always end up happening. So maybe we should just ignore a Karl Anthony Towns one and talk about maybe getting Anthony Edwards or something. Then we'll get Karl Towns, because that's just how it works with Kawhi. We hesitated on making the vids around Gasol. We thought we were getting we were a year early on the Marc Gasol bandwagon. We made that video a year prior, and then it didn't happen. So we thought we were getting, what's his name, Mirotic, I believe, who ended up going to the Bucks. Then we didn't get him, so we ended up instinctively making a trade from Marc Gasol out of the blue. So those are two big trades that you and I just said, oh, this might be too crazy, but then they ended up happening. So we try to cover it all, even if we know it's earlier, there's less significant reporting around it, but try to get that content, a bit of basketball banter, see what people are saying about it. But as of right now, I think they're pretty unrealistic for Towns and whoever is out there on the block that you listed, Stinky Pinky or whatnot.
Yep. Fair enough, Ben. Don't know how long we're going in this one, but again, we got some more videos to break down after this post game, which will be released in the coming days about all of these trade speculations and how it could relate to the Toronto Raptors. So I don't know if there's any other points you want to bring up before we start signing this one off, Ben.
Yeah, let's sign this one off here. You and I are obviously somehow affected by the daylight savings time. Both you and I discussed this before, that we were just randomly, even though you're supposed to gain some sleep, we're both just absolutely out of it. And then the Raptors end up losing to the Nets. So it's an unfortunate game, unfortunate day, but the Toronto Raptors will bounce back. As we brought up earlier, join the channel memberships for a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool perks. You can watch the video and see what you get down below there. Also, some merch coming, some merchy merch. The Christmas season's coming. There's nothing better to give your loved ones, your friends, the people you don't even know, a Raptors Digest hoodie, OG's hoodie, a Raptors Digest hoodie, lots of cool merch. I don't think anyone's gotten a hat yet, the Raptors Digest hat. Mine's been coming in. They do take a while to order, so you definitely want to get on that soon if you're interested in getting some merch. But new designs coming for that as well. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Instagram, Twitter. That's so many social medias. The Discord link's down below. Ryker, do you have any last words on this Toronto Raptors loss to the Brooklyn Nets?
Loss was the loss. Ronnie Penn's asking if I watched UFC last night. I did. Probably the reason I was tired in this one. It was an amazing card. But if you want to chat about it, my Instagram is being bumping. So follow Ben and I on Instagram. I'm responding to a lot of DMs now. I've already arranged to go snowboarding with somebody in like sort of north of Oshawa area. There's a bunch of new conversations. I've bought some super cool anime merch off somebody's friend. So I'm being active on the socials again. So that's that. Anyways, Ben, yeah, that's enough for me.
Yeah. So plug our IGs. We should start plugging that at the end of these videos.
We plug enough stuff, Ben, but for real. You know, I mean, Ben's always been pretty good with my head's getting itchy. Ben's always been pretty good with talking to people. On answering. But I've been bad at it. I don't have any patience for it, but I'm feeling like chatting up people more often now. So everybody that messages me, we've been having little chats and stuff. And like I said, with some cool stuff's come from it. Bought some real cool Naruto gear, bought some range to snowboarding things. So definitely follow the socials. Yeah, these socials on IG. Gotta get those ratios up. Make us look fresh and popular influencers. You know what I'm saying? Help out the boys. Nah, no ratio stuff. I've been following back. I'm following everyone back, man. Man, gotta fame is wild. YouTube fame for my 900 followers. It's a tough world out there, but we ended up show your wall too. Your wall is looking fire. I want to. You gotta flick it over to me. Yeah, no, just can you move your camera or is that too much? I want to break the stream.
Look at that wall. Look at that fresh wall looking up there. I'm getting the new computer, so I'll be able to switch those scenes during the live podcast. But got a lot of anime pictures up there behind the USA. People are roasting you in the chat there.
Nerd. Oh man. Anyways, Ben, that's enough probably for this one. Cheers.